Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are fine and doing well. In today's video, I will be talking about LC or letter of credit. I will talk about what an LC is, different types of LCs, the steps involved in establishing an LC, and subsequently making payment to the seller. I will talk about some of the benefits of using LC, and at the end of the video, I will share some insights regarding the use of LC. So let's get started. LC is a financial document issued by a bank on behalf of a buyer to guarantee payment to a seller provided the seller fulfills certain terms and conditions. It is the most preferred mode of payment in international trade where the buyer and the seller are from different countries. There are four parties involved in establishing an LC. Firstly, there is a buyer or the importer. Secondly, there is an issuing bank appointed by the buyer or the importer. Thirdly, there is a seller or the exporter. And fourthly, there is a confirming bank which is appointed by the seller. LCs can be revocable or irrevocable and they can be confirmed or unconfirmed. In revocable LC, the issuing bank can make changes or cancel the LC without the consent of the seller. In irrevocable LC, that is not the case, and any changes, amendments, or cancellations can only be made with consent of all parties. In confirmed LC, there is a second bank or the confirming bank which adds its guarantee to the existing LC, which makes it much more safer and secure. In unconfirmed LC, that is not the case, and the seller is totally reliant on the credit that has been provided by the issuing bank. Let's walk through the LC establishment process. It starts off after the procurement cycle has been completed and the buyer has issued a purchase order to the seller. The seller provides pro forma invoice, which is a preliminary invoice and contains details of goods that have been ordered, along with price, delivery time, and payment terms. The seller provides additional information like the country of origin, the country where goods have been manufactured, the mode of shipment, that is by air or by sea, the port of shipment, the airport or the seaport from where goods have been shipped, the HS code, the harmonized security code, which is used to assess custom duty, the latest date of shipment, the date on or before shipment shall be made, and the bank account details of the confirming bank. The buyer then fills an LC opening form, which is also called the IB8 form, and gets all documents, that is, the purchase order and the pro forma invoice, signed by two authorized signatories. One signatory is from finance and the other signatory is from any other department as long as it is authorized. The buyer then shares the signed IB8 form and all documents with the issuing bank and asks for a draft LC. The buyer then shares the draft LC with the seller for review and feedback. The seller reviews the draft LC and confirms if it is okay to proceed. The buyer then obtains an insurance cover note from the insurance provider and asks the issuing bank to finalize the LC. The issuing bank establishes the LC after number one, checking the credit limit of the buyer, and number two, completing the due diligence process. So these are the 8 steps that are involved in the LC establishment process. Now let's walk through the LC payment process. The LC payment process is triggered when the seller submits original commercial invoice, packing list, an airway bill or bill of lading, or any other document required by the issuing bank in the confirming bank. The confirming bank has to submit these documents in the issuing bank. Since these documents are of a highly sensitive nature, the confirming bank sends these documents via a reputable courier company. Once the documents are received at the issuing bank, the trade department of the issuing bank initiates the screening process. In this process, the trade department has to identify discrepancies
Discrepancies occur when there is a deviation between what is mentioned in the letter of credit and the documents that is submitted by the confirming bank on behalf of the seller. Once discrepancies have been identified, the issuing bank confirms to the buyer that documents have been received and shares the discrepancies with the buyer for acceptance. The buyer reviews the discrepancies and accepts them, and once that is done, payment is made by the issuing bank to the confirming bank. After making payment to the confirming bank, the issuing bank releases all documents, that is, commercial invoice, packing list, airway bill, or bill of lading, to the buyer so that the buyer could initiate the customs clearance process. So, in a nutshell, these are the steps that are involved in the LC payment process.
I hope the steps were clear and you were able to follow them. If you need a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, let me know in comments. I will share it with you. I will now talk about the benefits of using LC. In international trade, the primary risk that a buyer or importer faces is non-delivery of goods and services that have been ordered, and the primary risk that a seller faces is non-payment against goods that have been delivered and services that have been provided. LC can be used as a risk mitigation tool to manage the risk of non-performance and the risk of non-payment by involving two banks, that is the issuing bank and the confirming bank. There is another benefit of using LC for the seller. The seller can use the LC as a financing tool. So once the LC has been established, the seller can take the LC to the confirming bank or any other bank and get it discounted. That is, the bank will release funds to the seller after keeping a certain percentage as commission in lieu of discounting. The seller can then use the funds for meeting working capital requirements. Last but not the least, here is an important insight regarding LCs. So most of the LCs are site LCs. That is, payment is made to the seller or exporter as soon as the required documents, that is invoice, packing list, and airway bill or bill of lading is submitted in the issuing bank. Physical delivery has not been taken by the buyer or importer. In case there is non-conformance or non-compliance, banks shall not be responsible and the buyer or importer has to approach insurance companies to recover any financial loss. This is an important point regarding LCs that you need to be aware of. Thank you very much for watching the video. I hope it was informative and useful. If you have any questions regarding LCs, please let me know in the comment section. If you got any value from the content, please like, share and subscribe the channel. I will see you in the next video.